list that I did ahead of summer. And my rationale for G2 and Koi being first, as I mentioned, is because during the 2 months leading up to summer, they were actually busy. The other teams were not. I was worried about Fnatic because of the inclusion of Poby. They were the only top 4 team that made changes. GX 5th, Vitality 6th, BDS, Team Heretics. Like, this is... I was extremely accurate. Very, very, very fucking accurate. It's just KC dropped the ball right. Fnatic pounced. They made it. In terms of evaluating their year, I think we should do it. We can pull up my pre-winter one as well. Let's do that for that sake. I think that could be fun. Let's scroll down. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I think it's going to be very, very far down. Let me take a look. This is MSI, Los Sotones, EMEA. There's a lot of content here in between. LEC Spring tier list. Let's take a look at... Let's scroll down. Where are we? Where are we? Breaking news. All right, all right, all right. Here we going. Here we go. Here we go. 1 and 2. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. So this was ahead of the year, but I repeat, this was a list that was made with the context of winter in particular. I think so this was in the context of winter. BDS 4th. I think BDS might be the biggest disappointment of LEC this year. Think about it. They were by far the biggest disappointment if you think about it, no? In the context of where they were at. Like, they were supposedly they made upgrades. Team Heretics is probably the biggest surprise. And if there's a player that should get a reward that is MVP of shit teams, it's Mr. Shio. But okay. Let's make the evaluation. So the evaluation, we do it. Fucking hell, reset. This evaluation, guys, is based on expectations. All right. Where did they land based on expectations? It doesn't mean, oh, S tier, you're the best team, and so forth. Because that's very easy at this point, right? There's no interesting in that. We're looking at it from the perspective of what they achieved with what they had. That's a very, very, very important distinction. Overachievers, underachievers, very important distinction. That's why I hate when people say, Yamato, you never won the LEC, you're a noob. Bro, you have to look at the context of what I was working with. If you wanna say, Yamato, you should have won LEC in 2022, I fucking agree. I think that's to me still the most painful aspect of my career. That roster, we didn't win. Because on top of that roster, the LEC competition in 22 was really, really, really bad. Really bad. But me getting second place in a bunch of splits where, honestly, we had very little to work with, that shit matters too, you know? Like, making it to Worlds with Vitality 2018 is a good achievement. That's why, like, we're doing the under-overachiever thing. So we're going to talk about BDS. I think BDS straight off failure, right? I think a very, very clear upgrade on paper should have been the irrelevant thing. And now we look at it in hindsight. BDS lost Labrov, Parus. Parus in the offseason, he was a very, very contested player. And there's a world where G2 were the ones that got Paros. But BDS had the position where they could choose. So they lost Labrov, got rid of Shio, got 113, had to replace him for Bukada. And Shio is now popping off completely. And Irrelevant had the worst year of his entire career and got replaced by Rooster. BDS, massive failure. I think this year, probably the biggest failure. They spent a small fortune on Bukara as well. Yeah. I think BDS wins the prize for the biggest failure of a year. Let's continue. I think in terms of G2, I think the signing of Scumond, I think, was really, really good. I didn't like the signing of Labrov. I do think that coming into summer and how he played in summer, Labrov did a very, very good job. But I think in the context of G2 and their competition, it's hard for me to go beyond B right now. They made 2 finals and they won summer, but losing those finals, retaining 3 players from the championship winning team, making an upgrade in the jungle position because Yike, I think, was not working out on G2, and we knew that G2 would do well. I think G2 B tier. I think B tier in terms of expectations. If they won maybe one more of those finals, I think we would place them higher. But they were working with a lot of good things, right? Team Heretics, honestly, I thought they are gonna be like bottom, right? I think if there's a winner in terms of expectations and breaking expectations, I think Team Heretics and Shio in particular deserves like the real award for this. Because I think if there's a player that has increased his own personal value the hardest this year, I think it's probably Shio. I think Shio played so well for Team Heretics. And I think Team Heretics beat out teams around them. And I think like this was a team I slotted in the bottom 2. And I think that although they didn't do anything fucking crazy, I think that, you know, it is what it is. I think that Shio, you know, if you want to look at it in the sense of who he had to play with, I don't think, I think that Shio definitely, by some definitions, could be like an MVP candidate, you know? But the issue is they didn't make it far enough to have that justification, you know? If Shio and Team Heretics beat GX or a top 4 team, like they still were like 6th, 7th at best, you know? Like, so it's not like it's hard to go there. Stand was also really good. Stand also impressed me. Let's continue. Rogue, like, what do you say about Rogue, bro? Rogue, I don't know. Like, what are we doing here with Rogue? Like, I am going to put them on F. You know, I'm going to put them on F because I thought when they signed some of these players that are aggressive in Malrang and execute, and they signed, you know, Adam, you know, I thought these guys would actually be, you know, a little bit competitive with the bottom side of things. I thought it would reshape the team. I expected them to be bad, but I expected them to be better. Like I had so little expectations of Rogue, and they still managed to go under. That's how bad it is. I don't know how Freddy 122 made Malrang, Adam, and Jonghoon play the most cucked version of League of Legends. But let's put them D. Because it's like, they were better than BDS in terms of like landing on expectations. It's like, okay, let's just rename these. Good. Very nice. Bad. F. Fired. All right. Let's do that. I think this makes more sense on a scale, you know? This makes more sense as a scale than a fucking like a grade. Because it means like if you got D, it means that you passed. All right. Let's continue. Fnatic. The thing is, I think Fnatic, they made it to Worlds. But honestly, I think if you're Fnatic and you sign Upset and Mickey, and this is the conclusion, that the only reason that you qualify, you keep in mind, they stayed with Humanoid. They replaced Humanoid mid-year. That's terrible. I think this Fnatic roster was insanely stacked. If you want to talk about only the fact that they got in Poby, if they getting in Poby and making us change in top 4, if you only want to isolate Summer Split from the point of Poby, I think that you can even put them on good, right? Because they managed to beat KC and they made it to Worlds in a competitive top 4, regardless of how broken KC was. But if I look at them the whole year, guys, like Fnatic was struggling. Really, really fuck. Bro, it's terrible. Really, really terrible in my opinion. So I'm going to put them on bad. Koi, honestly, I had very high expectations of Koi. I had very, very high expectations of Koi because they made a massive upgrade in the mid lane position. Very, very big upgrade. Yo, thank you very much, Star Arrow, for the Prime Gaming. I think Koi made a massive upgrade in the mid lane position. And they needed some time to warm up, and Georgia Pune definitely did. But I do think that Koi making finals, I think Koi winning a split, I think that's good shit, man. I think Koi right next to good. And I say this because I had high expectation of Koi. Like even in my pre-tier list, right? I had Koi third here. I really, really thought that Koi practically didn't have a mid laner, guys. They pretty much didn't have a mid laner last year. And this year they had a mid laner. That's how bad it was, you know? They didn't have a mid laner for crying out loud. Frescawi, bro. Frescawi. Like, come on now. They had Frescawi, bro. They literally didn't have a mid laner. Frescawi. So I had very high expectations of Koi, and that's why I'm not jumping them to very nice. I think good, you know? I think good. Keep in mind, I'm comparing it to my own expectations. This is my evaluation depending on my scale. So obviously it's very biased because I had a very specific view of these teams coming into the year. I have a very specific view of these teams coming into the year. SK Gaming. We expected them to be last. They were last. It is what it is. Like it's like really, sincerely, it is what it is. You know? I think GX, they could legit border into bad because I have to say, the biggest disappointment for me about GX is Jackie's. Jackie's could have been the player that pushed this team over. I don't know what has happened to Jackie's. Jackie's used to be real as fuck. And there was a world where Jackie's was considered a potential, you know, future. But he's not a player anymore. He's not an interesting player anymore. And I hope Jackie's can find that spark again. But right now I'm not seeing it. Like that spark is gone. That spark is gone, man. Jackie started off well in winter. He ended super well in summer last year. But where is Jackie's? Make the real Jackies please stand up. But Giants were consistently like the 5th best team in the league, and that's what I expected from them. Let me see where I put them here. I put them 6th, and that's just like I thought BDS would do better, plain and simple. The sack down curse was too strong, honestly. That's the truth. The sack down curse is way too strong. I think like Jackie's legit started sprinting it, not sprinting it, but he didn't play good ever since. I think they didn't play good. They were dogs in spring regular split. They changed their jungler, closer stopped playing, and then you had Isma come through. I'm gonna put them on okay. I'm gonna put them on okay. Vitality, I honestly think Vitality had some good, they had some shit. Like, keep in mind, Vitality's year, if we put it in context, like, you can say that Nako was a good revelation. We had some good games from Chayek. But guys, they subbed in Niski, man. They subbed in Niski, bench Hilly. Like, what was the reason for all of this fucking garbage? What was the reason of all of this? And then in the end, the final product was just so disappointing. This is a 2-year project. Like, what are we doing? You know? Like, they started with Hilly, and then they got Niski in because Fleshy didn't have Visa ready. And they got rid of Douglas, who had better synergy with Hilly. And then they put in Linsas because they bought him out. And it was just such a chaotic year, man. Such a chaotic year. And I understand, okay, they had visa issues with Fleshy. But come on. Like Mac and Pad, you worked, Kazi, you all worked with Hilly. You know how Hilly works. You know how to get the most out of Hilly. And then you're surprised mid-year when you made that commitment. Like, that's what I really don't like about BDS, Fnatic, and Vitality. In terms of how they set up their year, they just abandoned it mid-year. And they got no new information. You understand? With BDS, you got some new information. They replaced 113 in the middle of the year, and Irrelevant turned out to be terrible, and they got Rooster in. But come on, man. Hilly-san was sprinting. Nah, you don't get it, Globetrotter. You don't get it. Like, you think a player sprinting or not sprinting, it's like, bro, they worked with Hilly-san last year. Mac and Pat have worked with Hilly for 3 years straight. They know the player, Hilly. Like, if I sign Hilly and I work with Hilly, I know what I need to do to activate him and which players are going to work around him. They're not working with any new data. That's like with Fnatic and Humanoid. They've known Humanoid. Humanoid and Razok played 4 fucking damn years together. What did they learn in winter and spring that was new? Nothing. Nothing. They didn't learn anything new. Nothing. Finally, KC. KC, guys. Does that make it more shameful? The fact that they couldn't get the best out of him after 3 years? Yeah, because what? You're making a roster together, right? The thing is, guys, KC, if you look post-winter split, it was a terrible year. Look, post-winter split, awful. Because from an outside perspective, KC Winter won because individually they were the best. And that is a crazy head advantage to have. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy advantage to have. And the fact that you didn't snowball that into more in spring and more in summer is insanity. Because in winter, we saw a Vladi that could compete with the Caps. We saw Kalist do nasty things. Nasty, nasty things. Kana turned out to be the best player in the league. And it wasn't even close. And Targamas seemed to have found himself. And Yike was playing better League than he ever played in fucking G2. Let's be honest. I think Yike Loki was carried on G2 in most of the scenarios. Like, people are gonna look at Winter Split and say, look at the big advantages he got. But the thing is, bro, there was a Mickey X hiding behind every bush because G2 was playing Heimerdinger Ashe bot lane and just ramming down their fists into the mouth of players and broke their damn spines. The Yike gameplay was so easy on G2. Unbelievably easy. Last year was like the last 2 years before this year, meaning the G2 era with Yike, LEC was free, bro. What was the competition? You had BDS, you had the Mad Lions that occasionally did fine with Frescawi, right? They went from going to finals to fucking not even making playoffs barely. Like, they were up and down. Then you had Fnatic that couldn't beat G2 unless fucking, like, nothing. Not even God intervening. If God sent down Jesus and he couldn't make Fnatic win against G2. BDS as well. You just had a bunch of teams that couldn't beat G2. The only team that did so when G2 really dropped the ball was, of course, Mad Lions in the summer playoffs. As you guys remember, they qualified to Worlds through that, right? Nevertheless, KC, the weird thing is, their Winter Split kind of carries them here. Because I didn't expect their year to be filled with so much potential. No way, bro. I thought their team came with so much risk. The fact that they had such a successful winter really, really carries them here. And if I put that in the context of what I thought at the beginning of the year, and I look at their year, if someone told me at the beginning of the year, KC will win one split, then they will make third, and then they will make fourth, I'll be like, that's pretty fucking good. And I repeat, in the context of winter, I think they should have been a contender to win all of the splits, and they should have locked the Worlds. So as strange as it sounds, I'm putting KC in good. I hope you guys understand all the qualifying factors that I said here. At the beginning of the year, I didn't expect them to win. I didn't expect them to go first stand. I didn't expect them to, make top 3 and be in the conversation even. But if you want to look at it from the perspective post-winter, then yes, massive failure. But I didn't have that winter data at the beginning of the year, right? And that's the context I'm comparing it to. Have you considered their Frenchness yet? Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm kidding. All right. All right. Fnatic is okay? Nah. Bro, Fnatic signed Mickey and Upset. They took the support from their biggest competitor and they didn't fucking do shit this year, bro. If you want to look at it, as I mentioned, if you look at it for only summer that they brought in Poby, fair play, that was a good one. But we're zooming out and looking at the whole year. Zooming out and looking at the whole year. Okay. Let's do some awards. Let's do some awards, guys. Let's do some awards. We have the usual paint. I am going to make, this is for the whole year, 2025 LEC. And I remind you guys, let's not get too crazy about things because it's important You know, obviously, we have our own biases, right? And I want to be careful to not devalue previous splits and previous times, because it's very easy to just look at G2 and get excited about G2, right? Very, very easy to get excited about G2 players currently because they are just really, really good, right? They are really, really good. It's very easy to get excited about G2 players. We have top, jungle, mid. We have ADC, and we have support. Kevin Lou with the gifted sub, thank you very much. To I'm a cutie pie. He is indeed a very cute pie. Okay. Let's start with top lane. I think top lane, Kana is the easiest slot in. People are going to look at that, people are going to look at that BO5 he had against Oscarinin, but that's just a small sample of his entire gameplay this year. Kana was insane. Kana was even insane in summer. Kana carried KC when everyone was underperforming. He stole wins from out of nowhere. He was winning lane against everybody. Like, we can't steal Kana's year away for that. He was insane this year. Kana is legit in the context of... he's like a runner for MVP, man. He's a runner for MVP. He was insane. The next one in line, I think the top three, plain and simple, should be Midwin and Broken Blade. The weird part about Oscarinin is he had high highs. In winter, I swear to God, Fnatic wouldn't beat BDS if it wasn't for how good he played. Oscarinin Poppy, if you guys remember that game, the series against BDS or his Kesante, he needed to 1v9 for them to actually do anything, which is nuts. But he was so terrible in so many damn games that it invalidates anything good that he did. So he doesn't belong in this conversation at all. He had way too many terrible games. Now the other question is BB versus Midwin. I think BB is underrated. BB, I'm going to bring you guys very, very far back, okay? When G2 was struggling, and I think he was such a good band-aid for all of the flaws that G2 had to even make finals. I think BB did really, really well. I remind you guys of the winter season. If you guys think back about G2's horrible start, do you guys remember that shit? G2 had a horrible, horrible start in winter. I can't even fucking show it here. Let me pull up Game of Legends. G2 had a terrible, terrible start in winter. You guys remember where Yike was stealing objectives and all that jazz? And the thing is, what really, really activated them and what made them go on this tremendous win streak was the fact that BB had some of the best tank gameplay ever. I'm going to show you guys something. Because this was an era of G2 not having any macro from their jungle and support. Negative macro. And he compensated for that by being a tanky boy every game. Broken Blade Cho'Gath, Kesante, Cho'Gath, Ornn, Broken Blade Cho'Gath, Broken Blade Warwick. Guys, it was memed on a lot, but It was kind of cooking there for in some games. It was cooking in some games in winter. And we have Broken Blade even playing Maokai, bro. He even played Maokai, for the love of God. He did so much, I think, to actually get G2 to those finals. I think Broken Blade got a lot of hate because of his international performance. But I think EWC, he started cooking. It's just that, yeah, BB looked really, really bad at MSI. But all of G2 did. I'm putting BB second. BB second. And then Midwin in third. Midwin had very good games. I like the fact that he's more complete as a player. Midwin is literally having the character arc that you wish Adam would have. You have a player that is playing his random crap, right? And he has his counters with the Varus and the counters into Gwen with the Fiddlesticks and the LeBlanc top and whatever. But now he's playing the standard shit well too. And the reason I'm making the comparison to Adam is because you hope people hoped, people that were watching Adam hoped that the momentum that he carries over from being really good at Seth and Darius and these champions, it would rather it being his whole ass identity, it would be the extension of his strength. And I think BB Summer was also insane. Like BB was so good in Summer. I think BB. I think there's no question about putting Midwin third. I think BB had a very, very good year, but people just love hating on BB because when his counters look bad, they look really, really bad, and I get that, you know. Like that Rek'Sai game he had at an international, like that was crazy. That series against Furia, it's a tough one to forget. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Jungle. You know, we have two junglers that have been fairly consistent throughout the year. Two junglers. Skumond and Elioya. The third one gets a lot harder. Skumond, I think people talked a lot about how much better he got coming in to summer, but I think Labrov was the bigger change coming into summer, because Skumond outside of finals in winter, in spring in particular, I think Skumond was insane. In spring, if you guys remember, and also in winter, you had that those monster Zinzao games, monster Pantheon games. He was actually like carrying games, bro. He was fucking smurfing his face off. He just disappeared during playoffs. So the Skumond versus Elioya conversation is very real. It's very, very real. I think Skumond was really, really good in summer, but he was fucking good throughout the year, I think. In winter, he just lost a couple of smites. And I really don't put a lot of stock. I don't put a lot of stock into like, oh, this player lost smite. Because even in those games, he was out jungling Yike. I think Skumond was really good the entire year. It's just the winter finals, MSI, spring finals were very ugly for Skumond. Very, very bad for Skumond. But I do think, in spring in particular, I do think that he was a big reason as to why they made it, you know? But I do think that Elioya, in terms of how important Elioya is for his team and Mad Lion's success this year, I think Elioya deserves it. Elioya got fucking blasted by Skumond and Labrov in summer. But Elioya's complete year, I think outside of internationals, I think Elioya was really, really damn good in the entire year. And I think the responsibility he took for the team, I think is Very, very crucial. I think the sheer force there that he just the impact I think is very impressive. Elio is my first, and Skimond a very close second. I think the reason I made this tirade about about his performance throughout the year is because people are saying that he improved in summer. I think he was great the entire year, and he did play a lot better in summer. But I think Labrov was the biggest switch up. If I'm going to be honest, Labrov was by far the biggest switch up. Labrov was the biggest improver. Finally, honestly, I don't want to put Razork here. I don't want to put Yike here. I'm going to put Shio here. Plain and simple. Shio deserves to be here. Way more than Razork and Yike. And Isma. There's no way. Shio deserves to be here. He was way more consistent, was good. Razork and Yike, we can talk about the flaws of these players for a very long time. It's just we are not there. It's just no. She was better this year. Mid lane, as it's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. Georgia Pyong. This is fucking easy. I think this is all very, very easy. And finally, like, who do we put? I like, it has to be Vladi, no? It has to be Vladi. Like, who else? Like, we're not gonna put Nuke there. We're not gonna put Jaggies there. Probably played one split, guys. Vladi smurfed his face off in winter and the majority of spring. Vladi needs to be here, guys. Vladi was terrible in summer. But Poby played fucking 6 games. Let's be honest. Like, he played fucking 3 games. Like, Poby played 1 game. He played 1 game in summer. He only played 1 game. Then, bro, mid lane is ass. The mid laner for Heretics. You don't even know his name. He doesn't even know his name. Poby played 6 minutes of League of Legends. He played 32 seconds of League of Legends. How am I supposed to judge him on that? Poby hasn't landed in Europe, man. All right. Okay. Here we go. 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 Number 1 ADC for me is Upset. Sometimes it's by design too, you know? I think second, to me, is Hans. The thing is, it's very interesting, right? It's very interesting how 80s have a very, very specific role on the team, right? And obviously, I mentioned this before. My bias is gonna shine through here, you know? I think Hans Sama, I think the impressive thing about Hans Sama this year is that he, like, I always compared him to Gumayushi. But the thing is, I can't anymore. I can't anymore. He actually plays Kaiser, plays Ezreal, plays many different styles now. He he actually showed up big time champion pool wise. He was the Kalista, Draven, Caitlyn guy, Stomp Lane, pick Varus. But I think that he really he matured this year, which I think is very impressive. I think the reason I put upset here on top is that there were games that were absolutely ridiculous that upset carried. He had Kalista games. He had such a wide range of champions. Kaiser games. I think that upset just, he was also on a shittier team, so he had more opportunities to do good shit. I think an additional detail is that I think that Upset and Mickey were so much better laners than everybody else in the league. Like they 2v2 killed everybody. Bro, they 2v2 killed Koi's bot lane with Maokai Smolder. But I guess they got double killed in the same sequence. Nevertheless, they just lane phase wise, which I think is a really big detail. I don't know if you guys remember when Upset and Mickey, Fnatic versus G2 in spring. Do you guys remember that BO5? Let me remind you guys of this BO5, okay? One of the ugliest games ever. Spring. Let me pull this up. Up around. Oh, yo.
Average this time around.
So this game, right? This game.
He perhaps thought the rest of his team would be.
Let me show you guys what Fnatic bot lane
Only
is
just
doing.
now getting back onto his rap.
No.
What they are doing to enemy team.
In a situation.
While
Get
their
easier
top
for
laner
him.
is interfeeding.
Larger lead perhaps as they would have hoped. On Summer as well. Expectation is you should be able to use her well. First was Toplane's away. Underneath
The numbers, and Razork will secure those early grubs. Mickey ticks over to level 6, and now they set the sights on the Hans. Hans doesn't have the ult.
Radiance. There's the dazzle. Planes away. Unsummer underneath the tower gets the root, but the Cosmic Radiance comes out. Upset flashes forward. The pace call will be enough, but with the
Imagine they
wind,
lose this game,
flash
guys.
away from the Rob, but the follow-up from Mickey.
Imagine they lose this game. They lose this game. And then third is Kalist. Third is Kalist. Super had a really good spring split, guys. It just, ADC happened to be very competitive. Straight up. I know the Spanish fans are going to come through and hate. They always do when I don't raise Super. But it's just, it's very competitive. I think Super had a very, very good spring split. But other than that, I don't think that Super was ever the ADC to make or break the game for them. And I think all these three ADCs really, really had incredible moments, incredible highlight reels, and just a very, very good range of play. And Super is a very respectable fourth. Very respectable fourth. All right, support. Support's going to be interesting. And I hope that people that have reached this portion of the discussion can still be reasonable about the recency bias conversation. All right? The recency bias conversation still is irrelevant, okay? It's still very, very relevant. We have Alvaro, Mickey, Alvaro, and then third, there's only two, right? And maybe three if you want to be like nice to a player like Stend. Targamas was good in winter, fine in spring, and fine in summer at times. But at the same time, I really hate how Targamas plays the game. I really hate it. It goes against my belief of how the game should be played. Mickey is textbook what I think a support should do and should be. because I hate supports that play with zero risk. I hate it. Supports that play with zero risk are not playing the game at all. They are not playing the game at all. And it's so antithetical to what I believe a support should be, because Tagamas is the player that plays so damn safe. And I really don't like that. I think that you need to be in tune with risk, and you need to be in tune with the impact it has for you to put vision down and take the right risk to put vision down and to utilize your champion's mobility to the max. And when the game is in tough spots, that you are creatively breaking the enemy team's tempo to trap and to find opportunities to fight, and Mickey does all of these things. That's why I think Mickey is like still really fucking good. And this is what Labrov has improved on so much in summer. And look how it changes the game for Broken Blade and for, of course, for how much it changes the game for Broken Blade and Caps. Suddenly they're smurfing on side lane because they leverage that information, because information begets information, right? And for me, that alone, while Targamas has had some good teamfight moments, I think team fighting Targamas did well. I just think it's such a unimportant factor. And Labrov was really, really gaming in summer, I think. And I think that alone puts Labrov on 3 for me. I think Labrov was really trash in spring finals, winter finals. I think he was okay at times. You know? I don't think that... It's just that I don't think Targamas was impressive enough to be like, oh, he didn't make Labrov look like trash. You know? That's where I'm at. You know? So Labrov is gonna be my 3rd. So this is my team of the year, guys. My team of the year is Kana, Elioya, Caps, Upset, Mickey. 2nd team of the year, Broken Blade, Skimont, George Pune, Hans, Alvaro. 3rd team of the year, Mirwin, Shio, Vladi, Kalist, and Labrovador. Let's talk MVP. Let's talk MVP. Number 1. This is kind of difficult. this one, honestly, is very hard for me. I'm not gonna lie. If I think of names right off the bat, I'm thinking about Kana. I'm thinking about Elioya. For G2, it's the toughest one, I think. Because I feel like the effort was very spread out. Like, if we had to choose an MVP for G2, who would that be? You know? It's not super easy, you know? I honestly, my brain right now wants to put Kana first. People are gonna be like, yeah, but Kana, what he did against Oscarino was crazy. Yeah, we're looking at the whole year, guys. We're looking at the whole year. Then Elioya. I think the issue with G2 is that I think that the carry load was so equal. So equal. That's what makes it trickier. Because I think in terms of workload, I really, really think that these guys stood out in their team. I think that the carry load for G2 was very big. And honestly, special shout out, I think, to Shio. I think Jun made GX interesting. Like if I had to pick an MVP of each team, right? I think special shout out to who else? Like it's hard to choose between Skimond, Caps. It's tough between these two. I'm indifferent there. We don't need to get too stuck. And for Vitality, we got Naknako for Vitality, for sure. Yeah, we don't need to go deeper than that. What other awards can we give? So there was a lot of conversation around Rookie of the Split. One, two, three. Well, there's only 3 guys really, right? And the question is, on everyone's mind and tongue, is the order. So I think Kalist had a very, very insane winter split. I think that he had a really good summer split. I think his spring split was not that good. Skimond, you know, what's impressive about Kalist is that a very competitive field, the ADC position, right? Jungle, you could argue the same, right? You can definitely argue the same. Jungle is also a very competitive role. I think Skimond, outside of finals in spring, I think he was really, really insane. Another detail for Skimond, which is it's a weird detail to have, you know. But Skimond joined a championship winning team and is surrounded by crazy good players. The coaching staff, the players, that as a rookie, that's the best environment to thrive in and to grow in. While Kalist, it turns out, you know, he was surrounded by a bunch of inexperienced people, inexperienced coaches, right? And but that shouldn't be a part of our measurement, right? We shouldn't care. We really shouldn't care, because in the end, it's like what he was and what he did, right? That's the only thing that matters, right? In the end, like if he had a better car and he drove better, he is still there at the podium. You know, that's what it is. Yeah, the tricky thing for Skimon, right, is that those winter and spring finals really plague the view of it. And I don't want to get to the point where it plagues the view too much. And people are gonna tell me that I'm recency biased, but I'm gonna put Skimon first. It is not about recency bias, because I think that he was insane in spring, and I think he was underrated in winter. And I think the biggest hate Skimon was from MSI and from the finals that he played. And those really stand out as a sore thumb. Because G2 sucked at MSI. They went to 5 games with Furia, bro. They barely made it out of play-ins. But if I remove that, bro, if I go away from that, Skimon was fucking great the entire year, bro. And I get it. The environment to thrive in is way easier for Skimon. He is basically driving a McLaren. I get that. He's driving a McLaren. I get that. But I don't think that should be a part of this conversation. I think it makes it unfair because it becomes too vague. You know? Calist Criminel is going to be my second. And then third, what are even the options? I think Stand honestly is a good shout. Stand is a good shout because I think the argument against Naknako, I think Naknako had a lot of good games, great games. And he was driving a shitty car because there were some draft scenarios, I don't even know, like I think somebody was sabotaging him. Like, we have to highlight, you know, Mac and Pad, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing. Mac and Pad, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing. Like, take a look at some of these drafts from Fnatic, Vitality, guys. And you guys are going to be fucking mind blown, I tell you. All right? Look at this. What the fuck is that, bro? What the fuck is this? Sivir Lulu Yorick Zed Rise. Fucking Animal Planet. What is that, brother? What is that? What the hell? Hey, look at some of these. Whoa. When I see Vitality, bro, when I see Vitality playing Yasuo top in 2025, I swear. And then here, look at this. Vitality rolled up to the series against GX and decided to pick Sante Orn for Naknako. Like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? What are we actually doing? Waterweed Dune Hair. Okay? Waterweed Dune Hair. I'm trying to find those damn Yasuo games. What are those damn Yasuo games? Can't find those damn Yasuo games. I don't know. Stan was pretty damn solid. Stan was pretty damn solid. But Naknaka had some crazy carry performances, and I think we gotta just lean into, like, it's just top lane versus support. And that's what it is, you know? Top lane versus support. It is what it is. Top lane versus support, it is what it is. Yep. Vladi played last year, so I don't know if he counts. Like, in my brain, he didn't count, so I'm not gonna redo it now. Okay. Okay. I think this looks pretty damn good, guys. I think this looks pretty damn good. I'm happy here. I don't think there's anything else to add. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful picture. I think this is a nice picture. Yep.